This isn't about the fact that you want to be successful this year, even if you want to be. It's not about acting new, dressing new, getting new clothes. It's about being new within. There's an inner growth that you should want to take into 2023 too. That's what really matters. That's the only thing that's eternal. What's up, y'all? It's me, Jada Christine, and welcome to episode 28 of the JRNE Podcast. The title of this episode is New Year, New Mind, New Spirit. We are walking into 2023 and we're going to be talking about renewing ourselves, as we're supposed to be doing that daily, but maybe you haven't been, maybe I haven't been. We're going to get into that. We are walking into a new year and we're not taking old habits, old baggage, and old grudges. We're letting go of it all. We are moving forward. The past is in the past. In today's episode, I have 4 things for y'all to take into this new year with you in order to really walk in that newness and feel renewed in the first place. It's not about acting new, dressing new, getting new clothes. It's about being new within, spiritually, and in tune with God. 2 Corinthians 4:16 says, "That is why we never give up. Though our bodies are dying, our spirits are being renewed every day." This is an everyday thing, not just a new year thing. And Romans 12:2 says, "Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect." There are 3 things I want to point out in these verses: the renewal of the spirit, the renewal of the mind, and the fact that this is happening daily. What can we do in 2023 to make sure that we are in alignment with these verses? How can we really renew our spirits and our minds daily? Number 1, we're going to start with healing old wounds. Now, I personally haven't had a lot of heartbreak or grief this year. That was all in 2020 and 2021. God decided to let me breathe this year, but I have been through it. My first video on this channel is about healing, and it makes me cringe a little, but it's good. Getting hurt by people leaves wounds, and it takes time for those wounds to heal. Sometimes those healing processes hurt, and sometimes those wounds, fresh or not fresh, are painful. I want us to be proactive about healing them before we go into 2023, whether it takes 2 weeks or it takes a year like it did for me. One thing that makes healing harder, and it's one thing that made it harder for me, was a lack of closure. If you're in the same boat, however things ended, that is your closure. I hung on to old friendships and old situationships so long, trying to convince myself that they had something else to say to me. An apology, a hello, a goodbye, but I got none of it. I hung on to maybes and what ifs for the longest time, and it only made things harder. We have to move on. Your closure is the last thing they said to you or the last thing they didn't say to you. Your closure is the fact that they didn't even attempt to resolve anything, or they never matched your energy. People are in our lives for a reason, a season, or for a lifetime. Accept what it is for what it is. Rant to God, listen to Marvin's Room by Drake, cry it out in worship, talk about it for hours to your mama, your best friend, your sister, your cousin. Block that person. Do whatever you need to do, but keep moving on. Do yourself that one thing and move on. Treat yourself with the respect that they didn't give you. A new spirit needs to let go of old wounds. Allow God to renew your spirit. In order for that renewing to happen, you have to let him in. Get vulnerable with him. Let him in your heart. Tell him all about it. He cares if nobody else does. The second thing you got to do before we walk into 2023 is get rid of old ways of thinking. Sometimes we can trap ourselves or limit ourselves without even realizing it because we have old ways of thinking, and those ways can be toxic. Sometimes we have to be bold with ourselves and ask ourselves the hard questions. What am I doing that doesn't work anymore? Am I allowing myself to remain comfortable in habits that kept me stagnant because I've told myself that it's okay? Have I allowed myself to be comfortable in my shortcomings? I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I talked about this in a couple videos ago, but we are a sensitive generation. It's not a lie that we have to validate our feelings, set boundaries, and prioritize ourselves, but we shouldn't be validating our shortcomings just to make ourselves feel comfortable in it. Because the truth is, yes, it's been a hard week, a hard month, even a hard year, but we have to keep going. We can't pity ourselves or victimize ourselves because we want to be comfortable and we don't want to be offended, or because we're sensitive. People who get things done and people who grow do the hard work, even through the hard times. I made a mistake of listening to social media and did a little too much self-care when things started getting hard, and all it did was set me back. Sometimes you just have to get up and go at it and lean on God for your strength. It's the little white lies that we tell ourselves to stay comfortable. So what little white lie have you been telling yourself so that you don't feel bad for doing the wrongs you're doing. Maybe for you moving forward, it's not okay to procrastinate anymore. Maybe it's not okay to not give all of your effort in all of the things that you work on. Maybe it's not okay to not have boundaries with yourself. And also negative ways of thinking. I am my worst critic. If you went in my mind these past few weeks, you think that I had something against myself. Our generation uses dark, negative language so loosely. It should not be so common to say, oh, I'm gonna kill myself, that there's a whole acronym to use on social media or use it in a text. I'm a KMS. In 2023, let's stop saying things like, I hate myself, I'm trash, I suck, or even using that language with other people. I'm stupid, why am I like this? These are things I've said and things that I've heard other people say so often. I kind of mad at myself for even speaking it right now. Words matter, y'all. But it's self-defeating talk. God did not give you that mouth to persecute yourself with it. You'll get enough of that in the world on its own. You don't need to help them. Proverbs 18:21 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. The world did not come up with affirmations. That's straight out the Bible. It says in the NLT version, the tongue can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. You'll reap the consequences of what you say about yourself. The third thing we're going to take into 2023 is discipline. None of what I'm saying, none of anything that I ever say, none of anything that you ever hear from anyone will ever work if you don't apply discipline. If you think that you can't apply discipline or that you don't have it, you're wrong. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. You can do it. I know in previous years you may have not kept up with your little goals, your vision board, but this year is going to be different. And I didn't center this video about materialistic things for a reason. I didn't center it around what we want to accomplish this year for a reason. This isn't about the fact that you want to be successful this year, even if you want to be, or that you have financial goals. We will always have those at any time of the year, but there's an inner growth that you should want to take into 2023 too. That's what really matters. That's the only thing that's eternal. 2 Corinthians 4:18 says, so we don't look at the troubles we can see now. Rather, we fix our gaze on things that cannot be seen, for the things we see now will soon be gone, but the things we cannot see will last forever. The definition of discipline is to train oneself to do something in a controlled and habitual way. We're not going to always have accountability partners or parents that watch our every move. At some point, it becomes our own responsibility, especially if you have friends who are slowing you down. If your friend's not going to class, you better go to class. If your friend starts acting a fool out of nowhere, you better stay in your lane. Stop waiting for other people to tell you what to do. Stop mimicking and copying everyone. Have your own mind to think and make sure it aligns with the word of God. Because following what the world does and mimicking what the world does will put you in danger. You have to have self-control and your own understanding of how this world works. Put quotes all in your phone, set up sticky notes on your wall as a reminder, follow accounts that encourage you, that put sensible knowledge out into the world and not nonsense. Some actual good advice, for example, you can follow the JRNE Podcast on Instagram, or you can subscribe, or you can follow me on TikTok at Jada.Christine. But I'm serious. I had to, when I changed what I watched and what I scrolled and who I followed on Instagram, there was a change in my way of thinking. I had to follow accounts who were posting verses, posting think pieces about the word of God, things that would feed my mind, positive things, strengthening things that will equip me, tools that I could use spiritually. The fourth thing that we're taking into 2023 is a question that I want us to ask ourselves. What lies ahead? This is not just about leaving stuff behind, but it's about making room for the good things. What are some things that we can do to create a meaningful life moving forward? I had a talk with myself because I'm moving back to college the 1st of January. I keep talking about this on this channel, but I had to tell myself I'm not going back to the same way. I'm not going to be so bored that I'm either staring at a wall or tempted to go out and act like my old self. I will be proactive this year. So I made a list of things that will help me create more fulfilling days, whether I'm alone or not. And I'm gonna share this list with y'all, and I want you to make one too. Our mates be different because we're different people, but don't make fun of mine if mine don't seem as fun as yours. A lot of this stuff is also going to be in vlogs. I'll be vlogging a lot of this stuff in January. So I made a list. It says things I must do when I go back to school to stay sane. First things first, I'm gonna have to get dressed every single day when I have class. No pajamas, because I have a bad habit of walking outside looking homeless and it doesn't make me feel good. Therefore, I'm less productive and I feel less confident. If I dressed how I dress, if I actually got ready, I get ready to make videos, but I don't get ready to go outside. I wear pajamas outside. So I'm gonna make myself get ready for class every day. I'm only gonna take 3 clients a week because the reason I went home in the first place is because I took way too many clients a week. I was probably taking like 1 every single day, maybe 2. And it got in the way of my schoolwork, which put me on academic probation. We can't have that again. Go on a hike once or twice a month, and I told myself to wear athleisure. When I go on hikes, I always wear basketball shorts and like old t-shirt. Not gonna do that no more. I'm gonna put on a matching set. I'm gonna go on hikes because until I feel like going back to the gym, I want to stay active. And I've been wanting to go on hikes, but I never did because I didn't want to go alone. I also said that I have to do all of these things whether I'm going alone or not. But going on hikes, that will keep me active. I want to see more of the city around me up there, and so that'll be fun. Take myself on a full-blown date once a month and vlog. That's gonna be really fun. Because I have so many date ideas in my head, but I never do them because I don't want to go by myself. I want to be all by myself. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to go by myself. I've taken myself out to a concert before. I've taken myself out and done certain things. But I'm going to make sure that if I don't have anybody to go with, I will take myself out at least once a month. The next thing I said, I'm going to paint or draw in my free time instead of scrolling. I don't know how much free time I have, but in all of my free time, I always end up scrolling. But I like painting. I don't know how much free time I'm going to have, but I don't want to spend so much time consuming media. The saying is create more than you consume. That's the goal. Next thing on my list is find a new church. I want to get involved in church. I want to have a solid community of young believers who I can talk to and lean on going into 2023 when I move. Go to all the basketball games. I'm a fan of basketball and I like going to games. So I'm going to go to all the basketball games since I missed football season. And then the other one is cook a meal once a week. I used to do meal prep, but that kind of was overwhelming. So I'm probably just going to cook a meal once a week and I have a meal plan. We solid. So I encourage you guys to make your own list. What are some things you want to take into 2023? What are some habits you want to take into 2023? What are some things you've been telling yourself, oh, I'm going to start this. Oh, I want to do this like I saw this other girl doing. Just do it. You don't have to wait till you're settled in. You don't have to wait till you're stable in certain things. Because I used to always say, oh, when I get my first apartment, whenever that is, I'm going to start doing this. Or I used to say, when I get into a relationship, I'm going to go do this, and this, and that. Nope, we're going to do it right now. Life is too short to be waiting around on things that may never come. And I'm going to leave y'all with this one thing. We have one life, and we are the ones who are in charge of it after God. Nobody else. What are we going to do to make sure that we're in alignment with His will? How are we going to optimize our time on this earth? And simply just do better. Do better for yourself. Do better for God. Work as if you are working for the Lord, always. Also subscribe. This channel is all about our journey as believers of Jesus Christ. We are always talking about how to do better by ourselves and how to do better by God. This channel is a new year, new me, all year round, every single week channel. We are always leveling up and renewing our minds daily, okay? But that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. Let's continue this conversation in the comments or the DMs. Let me know what you thought of this video. If you want to dive deeper or ask me some questions, just message me on Instagram. We can talk about life. We can talk about God. We can talk about anything. Follow the JRNE Podcast on Instagram. Follow me on TikTok at JRNE.Christine. Make sure to leave a review on the podcast if you are listening. Please come back. Please spin back. Come see me or listen to me again. And look at the previous episodes because they are good too. Have a blessed day. Bye, y'all.